Hey guys, how's it going? Kriparian here. Today I want to bring you guys a sponsored Dungeon Hunter Champions video in where I cast one of my 5v5 matches. Dungeon Hunter Champions is one of the mobile games that I've played for a long time now. They do have a Windows client, and that is what I'm featuring right now. I've featured a lot of the different ways that you can play the game. I've featured a lot of the different strategic things, how to get started as a new player, and I have my first video on the matter. If you guys want to check that out, it'll be linked below, or at the very end of the video it'll be on the screen if you guys want to check that out. But today I want to give you guys a highlight of a game mode I honestly don't play very often. I love Dungeon Hunter Champions that I can play it everywhere and that I can play so many different game modes, and I want to highlight one I didn't know how to play very well because conveniently enough it is a game mode that probably a lot of you guys do know how to play very well. They have a 5v5 mode, which is basically just a full-on MOBA. That's right, and that's what you're seeing here. I am not very experienced in MOBA games, so I was kind of just screwing around. I get the idea what I want to be doing when I'm playing these games. I want to just move around a little bit, try to kill some creep, try to protect my tower. I ended up going mid lane because I saw no one else from my team was going mid lane. I just kind of figured it out as I go. If you do want to check out Dungeon Hunter Champions, I got a link below for you guys, and if all you want to do is play the 5v5 mode, you can absolutely do that. There are a few things that scale with your champion, but they have very minimal impact. So the gear you have on your character, it has nothing to do with the power level of your character. What does have to do, not skills even, so you can just get like a fresh hero and try it out in 5v5 mode. The way that your stats cap out have to do with the number of stars that you have on your character. They have to do with the level of your character, and they have to do whether it's been ascended. But what you can do, what I've seen a lot of people do, is they just try out a bunch of the champions for 5v5. They pick basically one that they like, and then they level it in the other game modes, which, if all you're doing is leveling like one champion, it really doesn't take very long, and everyone can do that. So I'm feeling pretty good about how I'm doing in this game, by the way. I'm playing the Red Greater Demon. It's just, yes, I have a lot of champions. I've been playing for months. I am, one of the top players in this game. On the most competitive arena week, I made it to 4th in the world in arena, so I'm doing okay. Oh, got me killed. Yes, look at that. Kill that scrawny ranger. Get out of here. All right. So, I play this game a lot, but again, I don't play this game mode. I have almost all the champions in the game that are available for 5v5, so I ended up going with tank. The Greater Demon is one of my favorite champions because I'm able to just crowd control, I'm able to just stay tanky, and I knew I can't really play like a glass cannon DPS in these game modes because I knew I would be making mistakes. It was probably a mistake to play there. It's probably a mistake to return to base here to heal because I was maybe a bit too vulnerable in the open there, but I thought my opponent had his abilities on cooldown. So, it's going to take you guys some time to understand all the different abilities, all the different buffs, all the different debuffs, how all of that works, but perhaps I can give you guys at least a little bit of a breakdown so you understand the character that I'm playing at the very least. So the Red Greater Demon is a Nat 5 tank, so he has extremely high stats, but it is, at the end of the day, a tank. Because of his extremely high stats and the fact that his damage scales off of his hit points, the damage is very good for a tank. He's not going to do more than just about any damage dealer, but, he's kind of like a very tanky, fairly low damage dealer. What makes the Greater Demon very good is that grip that you just saw there. Can I get a kill there? Do I? No, it's too risky. It's too risky. What makes the Greater Demon one of the best tanks is his crowd control as well. He has that pull-in ability, which is very strong. Some of the other Greater Demons have, some guaranteed crits, but the one that you can play in 5v5 is the red one. The red one can stun with the grip if it hits a wall, but, it's very hard to do that, especially as a fairly newbie 5v5 player like myself. But you have the buff strip. So the buff and debuff game in Dungeon Hunter Champions is significant. If you play the other game modes, you'll realize this immediately because there's nothing that will overcome a good versus a bad team in terms of buffs and debuffs. So, for example, the attack up buff is 70% attack. The attack speed up buff is 70 attack speed up. The defense up buff is 70% defense. You know, there's no amount of gear from like a mid-range player to an expert player that is going to overcompensate for these, you know, lack of synergistic buffs and debuffs a team might have. The Greater Demon doesn't have any significant buffs other than shield on himself, but he is able to remove every single buff from his targets with that first ability, that Q. So the idea with the Greater Demon is I'm using the W, which is kind of like a grip attack. I have to aim that relatively well because it's a fairly long-range grip. And then it has like a small pull-in ability. It's kind of like a knock towards with the Q, and the Q removes all the buffs from my target, and based on how many buffs it removes, it gets a shield based on that amount. So if it doesn't remove any buffs, it's a very small shield. If it removes like a ton of buffs, it gets a pretty big shield, like you saw right there. The E ability is just a very high damage burst attack. It takes a while for it to fall down, so it does give the enemy team an opportunity to run out of the circle, but not always. Sometimes, probably if you're a better Greater Demon player than I am, you can probably use your E to set up a ground target and then pull your opponent into it. But, you know, more of a standard play. I played conservative, that's why I'm playing tank. I wanted to highlight this game mode for you guys without constantly dying, and well, certainly I was pretty proud of how I was keeping up. I ended up holding mid lane by myself. I have the tower on me here, but my teammate there, he's playing Kyo for the King of Fighters crossover promotion that they did recently. I assume it's a pretty good 5v5 champion. He's playing it after all. I do know that character is not tanky at all. It's kind of like a melee assassin character, so I had the tower hitting me. I felt that if I left, it probably hit him. So I stayed in there as long as I could so we could take down the tower. We ended up taking down the tower. So I'm doing pretty well. I'm getting some random kills. I'm getting these towers down. I'm able to tank them. I ended up getting a fairly large level advantage, I think largely because I've been doing pretty well in those departments. And with a large level advantage, these towers are suddenly not doing very much to me anymore. I'm here with a teammate who's also playing a red Greater Demon. Having two tanks in one lane is probably a bad idea in general, but in this specific point where we outlevel the opponent team, and Greater Demons have a fairly high damage capability as a tank, you saw it does just fine. We're basically tanking for the little minions, the little creep that are just spawning up the different lanes, and they're helping us with the sustained damage. So we're doing it here. Oh man, here we go. Oh, look at that. Oh, it was so good. I gripped to the wall. If you grip to the wall, it does actually stun. Oh, actually, the opponent gripped to the wall there on my teammate's Greater Demon. I tried to teleport out because my hit point is not high enough. And I tried to teleport out again. I'm like, wait a second, we could probably win this. This is probably some noob stuff. I think if the shark switched to me, it probably would have killed me, but I guess thankfully he didn't. And here I'm like, oh man, I'm really pushing my luck. Oh, but no, we have a teammate up there. You can see my map awareness in MOBAs is not really all there yet. I haven't played very many MOBAs in my life. I'm like, oh, this thing looks small enough. I can probably beat it down. And it ended up kind of like baiting the enemy Boon Sister to go near a shark. I saw a lot of sharks in 5v5, and it seems like their burst damage is actually pretty good. So, you know, that is one of the champions that's very easy to obtain through the adventure mode if you guys want to check that out. I didn't think it was a very good champion, but again, both teams have a shark, and I have seen sharks in a lot of the other 5v5s that I played. So, looks like while we were keeping busy at the bottom of the other towers, our teammates just took the core down, and I ended up with a pretty good record. You saw that was the first 5v5 I did in a long time. You get some pretty decent rewards, and I ended up not like MVP or anything, but I got 5 kills, 0 deaths, and 7 assists. Pretty good, right? Pretty good. That's not bad. I'm pretty happy with that. So that's what it is. I love these type of games because they just offer so many different ways to play the game, and they're like full on. Like, there's some people who play Dungeon Hunter Champions and all they do is 5v5 mode. So if you like what you see, if you've seen me play Dungeon Hunter Champions and I've piqued your interest, check out the game, see all the different game modes that it has to offer, and I'm sure you'll like at least a good number of them. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys tomorrow.